I hate to break the fishing news up, Yaremchuk, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down, Yaremchuk.
Yep. All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
Welcome into episode 220 of the Real Life Podcast, brought to you by Oodle Noodle, where 10% of all in-store proceeds go towards a good local charity. You help your stomach, you help your hunger, you help the local community, and everybody wins. Shout out to Oodle Noodle. I love them very much, and I know everyone else on this podcast does as well. Guys, and no Chalmers, although I suspect he might pop in at some point. He kind of likes to do that, but Bag Milk's here, Wanye's here, Jay is here as well. This week right here with the draft and free agency and all that shit, this is my Stanley Cup. I love this more than actual hockey at most points. Anyways, that's how I wanted to start the podcast. How's everyone doing?
Not gonna lie to you, I'm pretty hungover today, Tyler.
Oh, wow. Real
You're
life.
hungover?
Yeah, I mean, like, we wrapped up the draft, and then I made myself a cocktail, and I was like, well, that tasted nice. And then I had another one, and the next thing you know, I'm fucking around until 1 a.m. and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go to bed. I'm kind of drunk and I'm paying for it today.
Jeez, the old
It was
solo.
a big couple of days for the network, man. Like, we had a lot of content we knocked out. We had some great traffic go up. I was pretty happy with how everything went across all our sites, and had a little celebratory Wednesday night bender.
I don't hate that.
But I was doing that thing. I was on the phone with buddies a lot and just kind of like making random calls and wandering around, and one drink leads to another, and then you wake up feeling like death.
That happens.
Happens to the best of us.
Overall, though, on the draft, I mean, yeah, the content stuff going across the nation right now has been great. Josh Park was doing those draft insight videos leading up, and I thought those were super cool. Somehow his studio is fucking sweet, and I don't even know where he's working out of. That's the coolest shit
That's
going.
his basement.
I've been to his studio. It is hilarious. It's his bedroom.
Is he Dr. Dre in it down there?
Oh, yeah.
Because I even thought the video he put together, how he made that studio and set it up, was pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks.
He made like a
sweet.
little 1 minute compilation of how he set that little studio up.
It
looks good.
I'm mildly concerned Josh is cooler than all of us put together.
You're mildly concerned? I'm absolutely certain.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a guarantee.
Bag Milk, I'll start with you. What did you think of the draft, and what did you think of the Oilers during the draft?
The draft was. I think that the NHL could have spruced up the coverage a little bit. I thought it was pretty dry. I don't know what they would have done. It's not like I have a list of suggestions or anything, but like it was dry, and I get why it was long, but like yesterday was a fucking shift. Rounds 2 through 7 took 8.5 hours or something to do when normally it gets wrapped up.
Round 2 alone took 2 hours.
It was like it took so long, and I get it because GMs are calling each other as opposed to being able to just walk around the floor or whatever. But it took a long time. But as for the Oilers, I thought they did pretty well. I know you've got something coming out on Carter Savoie in the next little bit. That seemed to make a lot of Oilers fans happy because I don't think anybody expected him to go in the 4th round. Dylan Holloway.
Who the hell is that?
Well, just wait. I wanted to, when it was getting to me, I was hoping we were going to get too far down the subject of Carter Savoie, but I have to ask one question to Mr. Yaremchuk.
Yep.
How aroused are you from that pick?
What? Explain.
Okay, the word aroused is super weird. So I'm not going to say the word aroused.
This pick hit Tyler Yaremchuk in all of the field.
So did you get moist, man?
I remember showing up to the Sherwood Park Arena a few years ago to watch Sherwood Park Crusaders rookie camp, and it was like, hey, those kids, Savoie and Benning, are going to be there. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, they're supposed to be good. And one guy said, no, they're not just supposed to be good. They're going to go early in an NHL draft. They ended up going in the mid-round, but this was like 3 years ago. And I was like, okay. And the one guy goes, watch for Savoie. He shoots the puck like an NHLer already. And he was 16 years old. So I go in.
He just got a rocket?
I sit in the stands, pull on my laptop. I'm watching them just skate around before practice. And he fired a couple. One hit the post and one hit the glass. And it sounded like a bomb was going off in the arena, man. Like, this kid shoots the fucking puck. And, I mean, in junior, the AJHL, people view it as a second-tier league and all that. I don't agree with it, but you're playing against guys that are 2-3 years older than you. This guy scored 53 goals in 54 games. He was a goal-a-game guy in the Alberta Junior Hockey League. Are
they expecting him? And he got picked in what round? 4?
In the 4th round. Bob McKenzie had him at 58. Bob McKenzie had him as a second-round pick.
Yeah, but that was the interesting thing too. As I was doing the draft article for him, and I looked at all the pre-draft rankings on him, and I couldn't figure out why he was still there in the 4th round because everybody had him.
Is he 1'8"? Is he brittle?
He's 5'10", 180. He's short, but he plays like a bowling ball, man. This is a guy. There was a playoff run for the Crusaders where I was talking to someone, and they came out to me and they go, "There's a rule in the AJ I didn't know about where if you get too many goalie interference penalties, you get suspended." And it was like game 5 of a playoff series, and someone came out to me and they go, "We had to tell Carter to cool it because he's driving to the net so much. He's taking goalie interference penalties, and he was about to get suspended for game 6.
Oh my god!
He's
to answer my question.
I'm aroused.
To answer my question, Tyler Remchuk, yes, you are aroused with this pick.
Aroused, moist. If Tyler thought about it any harder, he would rip a hole clean through his trousers.
Is he a hunk? Is he good looking? Does he have some Savoie fare?
I'm sitting there driving and I'm keeping tabs on the draft because I was driving to a round of golf. And when they were coming up at 76, I was like, man, if Savoie is still there, that would be a really, really nice spot to take him because I think he'd be a good fit here. They don't have enough guys in their system who are natural goal scorers, and I think he is exactly that. He's a natural goal scorer.
Explain him to me physically. We're on the cover of Team Beat.
I don't know how to do that.
What do you look like, you idiot? What if you witnessed a crime?
He looks like he plays hard. He looks like he's a gamer.
He looks thick to me.
He's thick. He's thick.
What color is his hair?
Brown. He's a brunette. This guy looks like he's a killer. And
does he look like a celebrity of any sort? I'm not going to look. I want you to describe him to me. Does he look like a former Oiler?
No.
Does he look like a future Oiler?
This guy's cracking the lineup for sure. Maybe not this year.
Well, he's 3-4 years away. 4 years away.
But we're gonna like him. I think we're gonna like him. I love a kid with spunk like this.
What's your take on him sliding?
I don't get it. Him going after Benning really didn't make sense to me because I thought Benning would slip potentially to the late 4th round. If you would have told me before the draft that Carter Savoie was going to the 4th round, my jaw would have hit the floor, man. I wouldn't have believed it. And like I said,
is he a local guy?
Yeah, his parents live 2 minutes from where I live right now. His mom.
God, this guy has all my buzzwords.
His mom and my mom taught at the same elementary school. I wasn't in his mom's class, but she taught at the elementary school I went to.
This is when you know that we're not a real podcast because you ask your talk about the draft.
Ready for this?
About himself.
My sister babysat him.
Whoa, you're so aroused.
You are way aroused.
Well, no, there's just a connection there because I covered him for a few years. I know the family well. I remember when one of my first jobs was umpiring Pee-wee baseball, and I umpired a game that Carter Savoie was playing in. It was just Pee-wee House League baseball, and he went 4 for 4 with 2 home runs.
Could he rip the bat? Was he a strong hitter?
Oh yeah, man. Like I said, he hit 2 home runs in one game, and he was the only kid at that level in House League ball that could hit home runs.
Yeah, so that explains. Yeah, you said he shoots. He's got a rocket for a shot, so it makes sense. Okay, I'm all in.
They got him.
Hold on, I'm looking at him here. He's not a nuggo. We might be able to make this work.
Like I said, I wanted the Oilers to take him at 76, and I wasn't sure if he would drop there. When they traded down, I was kind of God damn it. It would have been cool to see the Oilers take a chance on this guy. Then I'm golfing.
Who do you compare him to in the league, your M-Truck? Who's he like?
Well, I'll do you one better. I was talking to him on the phone on Monday, and I asked him.
Wow, just
what an insider.
How? Why?
How come he's not on the podcast?
Because the Oilers control his media now, so he doesn't do it. I was talking to him on Monday. I did a little podcast with him, and I asked him, I said, who do you compare yourself to? And he kind of said, I don't like to compare myself to one player. I like to take pieces from other players' games. But he was if I had to look around the league, I'd probably say TJ Oshie. So offensive winger who shoots the puck really well, goes to the tough areas, isn't afraid to hit and get chippy.
Whose podcast is this, your M-Chuck, you're doing with him exactly?
My podcast with the Sherwood Park Crusaders.
What?
Yeah, your M-Chuck.
You do a podcast with Sherwood Park Crusaders?
He's been cheating on us for a long time.
I haven't been cheating on you. If anything, I've been cheating on them with you guys. I kicked off season 4 on Monday.
The hell is it? Some sort of
Hey, how many
polyamorous
episodes?
marriage?
How many episodes of the Crusaders podcast?
4 seasons and around 24, 25 seasons. So I'm at like 100.
Yeah, so we're like what, 220,000?
220,000.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know one thing. You said TJ Oshie as a comparison. Does he hit like a freight train?
Oh yeah, he'll hit. He got suspended a few times when he was with the crew because he.
I love this guy. This is going to be the darling of our draft. I'm excited.
What number is he going to wear?
69. Let's go.
Nice.
Wait, what is he here?
He wears 8 for the Crusaders.
So you can't wear that.
8.
It's Glenn Anderson's number.
Ocho.
What?
Fuck Glenn Anderson.
No, Glenn Anderson was not 8.
Oh, Glenn Anderson was 9.
Was 8, bro.
Yeah, never mind. Glenn Anderson was 9. Yeah, 8's available.
I thought you were really protecting Griffin Reinhardt's number.
Zdeno Seeger.
I thought you were trying to trigger me. I thought you were trying to be a troll. You actually didn't know that.
No, I got confused a little bit in my head. That's all. My bad.
So you love Zdeno Seeger?
I do.
I also love Zdeno Seeger. You know what, Wanya? That's a funny name that you just pulled out. I have his autograph in my program. One of my programs back my dad's.
Fuck, did that guy have a helmet?
Mm-hmm. I love those old Joker buckets.
Great bucket.
Carter Savoie, number 1.
Yeah, and we also drafted Dylan Holloway, who is definitely on the All Abs team. Hunk of a man. Strapping.
That was weird to post pictures of a shirtless 18-year-old and talk
You're
about his
weird.
abs.
You're abstract with all your
How dare you?
podcasts. Right.
We need to make sure that our All Abs team is fully stocked at all times.
Yeah,
like if we're losing Oscar Clefbaum for any length of time, we need to make sure that there's somebody in the wings that can fill that slot.
I thought that was Broberg.
I immediately tweeted when we drafted him, we just got sexier.
Yeah, I remember that. This is the kind of commentary I need to get me through a long off season.
On Oilers Nation Radio last Friday, you didn't think that the Oilers would be going for a guy like Holloway a little bit. You thought he would go lower in the first round. Were you at all surprised when that's who they snapped up?
Well, so here's the problem with how the draft went. A lot of the draft experts said there was like 12, there was picks 1, 2, and 3. Like Lafreniere was clearly number 1. Byfield and Stützle were clearly 2 and 3. And then from 4 till about 12 or 13, all those players could have gone in any order, everyone kind of said. And then they said there's a drop-off at 14. So it was just shitty that the Oilers picked at 14th overall. Is someone...
mute.
Oh, shit, you can hear that?
Yep.
Yes.
He's making a cocktail.
Boys. No, I was just fucking getting a little bang of chips here in the go. My apologies.
So they said there was a drop-off at 14. So when you're watching the draft go, it's kind of like, all right, Perfetti is starting to fall. There's no way he's getting to Edmonton, but he might push, maybe he pushes Seth Jarvis down to where Edmonton is. And you were just kind of hoping that one team would make a mistake and reach. And they'd reach on a guy that wasn't supposed to go in that top 13, and that would allow Jarvis to fall to Edmonton. That didn't happen. No one reached. Everyone played it by the book. So Edmonton had to take whoever was the highest on their list. They weren't going to have someone fall to them. And that's why they ended up going with Holloway. I wouldn't have hated if the Oilers traded down and did what Calgary did, where they moved down again, and then still got Connor Zary. When it comes to Holloway, I like his hockey presence. I watched him a bit in the AJHL when he won MVP there. I like his hockey. I like his hockey mind, I should say. Sorry, that was a slip up. I like his hockey mind. He thinks the game well. He's got, a good 200-foot game. I'm a little bit worried about his offensive upside, but I also think he could be, maybe a little bit of a late bloomer in the sense that he didn't get off to a great start at the University of Wisconsin, and that program was loaded this last season. But towards the end of the year, he started to pick up some steam. So, maybe he just needed a while to adjust to the college game, and that's why I'm a little bit more down on him than I should be. But it's exciting. I think his floor is a damn good third-line center.
That's okay.
Which is fine. I think one of my favorite moments from the first round of the draft was when Columbus went way off the board and nobody on the panel had any information about Yegor Chenikov. I thought that was hilarious. Because they were like, what is, Kekalainen, he's doing weird shit, man. And I like it. He's entertaining.
I think Kekalainen might be the best GM in the NHL.
Yeah, it's hard to argue right now. He's done some interesting things and has stayed relevant.
Everyone sat there and was like, oh, they let Bobrovsky go. That's a mistake. He's your franchise goalie. Bobrovsky is shit the year he leaves. Columbus now has 2 other starting goalies just sitting there. The Panarin thing sucked. They didn't really recover from that yet. But you look at some of the trades he's made, man, like that, getting a third and Domi for Anderson, great deal. The Dubois thing, everyone laughed at the time, turns out great. So much stuff has just turned out great in Columbus. And Kekalainen, man, interesting. Like, even going off the board for a guy who went through the draft last year, I'm pretty sure. No one wanted this dude last year. And Kekalainen used a first rounder on him. It makes no sense. I don't know why he did it, but I guarantee you that guy's a top 6 winger.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The other thing,
and that's why I also feel pretty good. I know we're still talking about the draft, but that also makes me feel good that you say that, because there was also some rumors going around that Kekalainen he was sniffing around Puljujarvi, who just re-signed with the Oilers. So what does he know? He knows something.
He knows something, and that's a vote of confidence that we want if Puljujarvi coming back.
Okay,
Can you ever recall, Jay, other than Comrie and Smitty coming home, an Oiler that got flushed and swam back against the current and came back?
Oh.
I think Dennis Gravishkov could use another tour of duty.
Yeah, one more.
True, Grebs, yeah, that's a good one. I can't recall it happening. Normally, we would have traded him for an 8th-round pick.
Well, yeah, I tweeted out
back like twice or something.
Nedved, Peter Sikora.
Oh yeah, Sikora.
We had twice.
Yeah.
But this is different, maybe because it's like a draftee that we try. It'd be like if Yak came back,
or Schultz.
Yeah, well, could happen.
The last thing I wanted to say on the draft, I don't know if Jay and Wanya, I don't know if you guys watched much of it, but at the beginning, they did like a little thing where they showed every prospect sitting in front of their like Zoom camera at home. And it was hilarious to see like the gap in there, because there'd be one kid who's sitting in like his college arena watching it on the Jumbotron. Another kid who has like a well-lit room and he's got his jerseys behind him and like he's all ready to go wearing a bow tie. And then you'd get the odd kid who was just like sitting in his basement. It looked like he was wearing a hoodie. Like it's terribly lit. You can barely see his face. It's like wood paneling on the walls. And he's just like sitting there hunched over looking at his laptop. And then the next kid's like at a hall his parents have rented in their hometown. And there's like hundreds of people there. And then another kid just like sitting in his bedroom, like laying in his bed being like, wonder where I'm going to go here. It was
interesting. It was interesting too to watch, like just because it was so different and all these kids were in their houses or wherever they were, just the kind of fun little things that popped up, like when the Holt family stood up and somehow they have a chandelier that's only 4 feet high or whatever in their room. Like,
that's Europe.
That was funny.
It was just funny seeing that shit. And I was kind of hoping, and I get it, it's their big day, but I was really hoping for a kid that wasn't wearing a suit, but instead like a sweet Adidas tracksuit or something, just because he's chilling at home.
Also,
like a Russian in like a Kappa tracksuit.
Exactly.
I was so happy to see a Canadian national treasure announce a pick.
Yes.
In Alex Trebek.
That was so cool. So well done.
People were hating on Twitter, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I wish we could have flexed like that.
What team got to use Alex Trebek? I missed
Ottawa.
The Ottawa Senators, yeah.
Wow, that's like the most fucking coolest thing Ottawa's done in a while.
Ottawa had a draft.
They had themselves a draft.
Holy cow.
Plus picking up Matt Murray.
Wanya, you should have seen the video, though. So, like, they cut to Trebek. They did, like, a full scene where, like, he throws up the Jeopardy thing, and it's like, this player was drafted 3rd overall by the Ottawa Senators in 2020. And then it comes back to Trebek, and he's like, the answer is, who is Tim Stützle? And then it goes to Stützle going nuts.
How can people hate on that? Fuck
I don't know. It would have been funny if they would have played, like, the wrong clip, because it was obviously pre-recorded. So, like, they cut to, like, Trebek, and he goes, who is Alexis Lafreniere? And everyone's like, oh, fuck. He's already off the board. And then they make,
I wonder how many iterations of that they had. Well, no, it could have only,
only would have been 2 guys. Yeah, so I'm half kidding. But that was really cool.
I wonder how that came to be. I wonder if Alex Trebek was like, hey, I want to do something with the NHL. If they were like, hey, I wonder if Alex Trebek's available.
He's an Ottawa guy, right? So I'd imagine the Senators reached out.
He's from Ottawa?
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I loved it.
I'll be damned.
There was a couple good heartwarming moments. Dale Hawerchuk's widow making the pick for the Jets. Yep. And then the end of the round, how cool was that? For those who don't know the story, Ozzy Weisblatt plays in the WHL from a whole family. They're like the next big hockey family, the Weisblatts, and their names are all tremendous. Ozzy just got drafted, and let me tell you his brother's names here. Sorry, I don't want to mess him up.
Hold on, the guy's name is Ozzy Osblatt?
No, Ozzy Weisblatt, and his brother's names are Oasis, Orca, and Ocean, and they all play junior hockey.
There was some great names in this draft.
Here's my O-face. That's what I'd say.
So Ozzy Weisblatt, their mother is deaf. So they all the kids know sign language. And when the San Jose Sharks went up with the last pick of the first round to take him, Doug Wilson Jr., he made the pick in sign language so that Ozzy Weisblatt's mom could get it in real time. It was super cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
That means they knew they were taking him at that pick for the longest time, because to learn sign language isn't easy. So that's such a class act that they did it. But the fact that he learned to do that's not easy.
No, it was really, really cool.
They knew because it's not we're gonna take this. Okay, we're gonna take this kid out. Okay, well, quickly tell me how to do that. No, he would have probably spent a few hours to mastering that, because he did it so nonchalantly. They were that was cool. It was very
really cool. There were some cool moments in the draft.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting week here. You guys were talking about JP. We're going to get to that in just a second here. But before we do that, I need to let everyone know we are brought to you by Twig and Berries, local men's apparel company with a great selection of shirts, hoodies, socks, and underwear. Get this. They even have their own underwear line, and it's called Nutsack. Yes, it's amazing. You want a pair? You can get a pair by heading to twigandberries.ca. You want to save 15% on that pair or anything on their website? You can use the promo code NATION15. Nation15. Nation15 saves you 15%. Everything on twigandberries.ca. Hit them up. Support local, because we love supporting local on the Real Life podcast.
Now, your Remchuck, I take my underwear off and on many times a day on account of having sex with many women. Are they durable?
Yes, very durable. The Nutsack one especially.
Interesting. Go on.
Doesn't Justin Bieber only wear a pair of underwear once?
Does he?
That's
a big flex.
I heard that at some point, that he won't wear a pair twice.
Deal, probably.
A fresh new pair of underwear put on feels so good. Speaking of which, Twig and Berries, the team there was gracious enough. I got some gift boxes here for us that I've got to distribute to you all.
I also still need my booze from Danger Suede. That's been 8 months.
Hey, it's at my house, but hey, more reason to get back to the city. I'm not going to drive around the city.
You already drive around the city
on my time. Booze. Yeah, but I'm doing business. That is commerce.
Booze
you hear
business.
That, Danger Suede? You hear that? You hear what happened to your gift? Jay has poured it.
Chalmers has his rum.
What the fuck?
Marvelous.
Because I see Chalmers regularly, physically, and all you guys hide.
Well, you know me and Bag Milk are shut in.
Yeah. My recluse lifestyle demands sipping rum.
I don't know if I could introduce myself alcohol into my environment at this moment. I've been running a pretty sober game now for many months. I think, 2 sips of booze and I'll be dick picking people I haven't seen in 10 years and stuff.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
You just peel off those fresh Nutsack undies from Twig and Berries.
Whatever.
Flash the gear. I respect it.
The only time I'm sending a dick pic now is if there's an OnlyFans subscriber at the other end of it. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
This shit ain't free,
pay to play. Pay to play.
Free. Yep.
Chuck, what else is exciting about hockey?
I want to talk Puljujarvi because we heard rumors. It was a certain thing that he was coming back. I don't think anyone was surprised that the contract got done, but I was surprised at how cheap it was. We heard rumors it was going to be 1.2 to 1.7. So that surprised me, and it surprised me that it was
how much was it?
1.175, I believe, and a 2-year deal on top of it. If Puljujarvi comes back, and let's say, what if it goes amazing this year? Let's blue sky it, and he scores 20 to 25 goals. You have a second year of this guy at $1.1 million. That is huge in a cap world. Even if he doesn't do well, let's say he only scores 10 to 11 goals. One, there's still value in trading that contract because he's a 21-year-old former 4th overall pick under contract for $1.1 million. Or let's say it goes middle of the road and it's a 15-goal season for JP. He does well. He plays well both sides of the ice, all that. I mean, you have one more year of a damn good third-line player for $1.1 million. This deal was an absolute A+ move by Ken Holland. Grand slam, home run, all of it.
You got to give props to Uncle Ken for wearing the iron pants and not trading him for a bag of beans.
Yep.
Like what the Rangers did with Anderson, trading him for the 60th pick.
Yes, and just waiting, reestablishing the bond and the relationship, and now they're both collectively going to give it a second shot. And JP is now, a little bit more mature. He's got his confidence back from lighting the league on fire. It's a no-lose situation because if he doesn't perform well, we didn't fork out too much, and then we can trade him for whatever. And if it does have any kind of payoff because of that contract, like you said, Chuck, This is two great years of our 5-year window where that contract could be an asset to the team.
Everyone quiet for a second. What's that noise? Do you guys hear like a tapping?
That's probably Wanye.
Yeah, I've just been rubbing the phone on my schmackle. Sorry about that.
It's not me. I'm not doing anything.
Sorry, I heard like a.
I think that
you're probably going nuts here, MJ.
I probably am in my nutsack underwear from Twig and Berries. Bag Milk, your take on JP coming home?
I was actually pretty surprised that it was a 2-year deal as well.
Yeah.
I thought that I didn't expect a 2-year deal. I expected him to come home. Like we've been hearing about it since, August, July, whatever, but like low deal, very low cost, 2 years. The highest scoring right winger on the Oilers last year was Zach Kassian at 34 points. I'm not saying that Puljujarvi is going to be the highest scoring right winger on the team, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he gets in the neighborhood. If he comes in and he's got some of that Finnish swag, I could see this going really well. And then all of a sudden in 2 years, we're like, God, we got to pay this guy. But like Jay said, that's 2 years where you got an asset locked up that hopefully will be able to contribute. He says, he did the Zoom call with the media. He says he's grown as a person. He's got more confidence from the year and a half in Finland.
His English was better too.
Was it? I didn't get to watch it.
Yeah, he sounds more confident and like he's more
Can you
thorough when he
imitate
speaks.
him so I know how far along he is, your MJ?
I've been imitating him this whole podcast. That's how good his English has gone.
Well,
Wow.
I'll give you a story about his maturity because when he was here in Edmonton, behind the scenes, his English was fine. It's just when he's put in front of the camera and everything, the nerves got in, which just kind of led to like him being young, him not being ready. Like he had all the tools, he just couldn't put them together in a high tense situation. So I just think he's more relaxed now. Like he's like I said, he's comfortable in his own skin. He knows he's got the tools. He's proven that he's done it. That he has it again by going back to Finland. He's feeling comfortable and confident now. His English is better, but it was always good to begin with. It's just he wasn't ready to be here, and we fucked him around too, and we didn't add to that. So all of these things, there's so many good signs around, Puljujarvi coming back and contributing that I'm hearing when I read between the lines.
Yeah.
And
I can't think of them ever being patient with a player and having us work like this before. It's Ken Holland.
Well, we'll see. We don't know if it worked yet. Like but we're in a position where we're not doing any damage, which is something what we would normally do.
We didn't say if you have to ask the question or some dumb thing about him to offend him to burn the bridge.
Yeah.
But it's like also like we said, if this was still Pistol Pete at the helm of the Oilers, Puljujarvi would have been traded for half-eaten sandwich years ago, a year and a half ago, and we would have watched him do whatever he's going to do somewhere else. So I like this. It's a low-cost bet. There's a good chance for a nice little ROI on this one, in my opinion. And I hope that he's still looking at this as a time where there's lots of work to do. Just signing a 2-year contract doesn't mean jack shit. Now it's done. Time to put the work in. It's like Strud said about the draft. Getting picked by a team is great, but now the work begins. And I feel the same way about Puljujarvi and his version 2.0 with the Oilers.
Yeah, I think 100%. I don't think you'd find an Oilers fan who's going to complain about this. And if you do find an Oilers fan who's going to complain about this, I would question their hockey IQ.
I think you would actually be pretty surprised, Tyler, because when Zach wrote the news article yesterday on OilersNation.com, there was a lot of people that are just kind of over it. And I don't know if it's because the saga dragged on for as long as it did, or that the first time around didn't go as well as we'd hoped for a 4th overall pick, and people are just wary of that. But I was actually surprised to see the amount of just why did they do this in the comment section, even though it's a cheap, low-cost deal.
Like, people who listen to these podcasts have known for a few months that I've been, quote, over it. And I wasn't over it in the sense that I didn't want to see JP back. I never said that. I was over it in the sense that I was done dissecting everything. I was done with the posting the videos on Twitter every time he scored a goal. I was done with people bitching and moaning about whose fault it is that he's not in the NHL. I was just done with all that shit. I was like, either he's coming back or he's traded, and I'll talk about it once again when one of those things happens. Now that he's coming back, I'm ready to talk about some of the positives surrounding this, but I can see why some Oilers fans are maybe a little stuck up and, prove it to me first. But I still think you need to be a little bit open in giving this guy a second chance. Like, when I think certain things that make me...
need to be open.
Yeah, and, we all love watching Oilers hockey, but we all sort of have that list of things that make us like extra happy when they happen in game. Like when Cassian runs someone over, you love it. When Draisaitl chirps the other team's bench. When Nugent Hopkins scores. When Puljujarvi having success and scoring goals is on that level for me. Like I'm going to be rooting for that guy extra hard this coming season.
I'm really looking, now that you say that, like I'm really genuinely looking forward to the first time he scores a goal and you just see that giant fucking grin on his face again. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah. He scored in his first game.
Wow.
He did it last time.
We have to make sure Alvin picks him up at the airport, Jay.
Yep.
A buddy of ours drove him to the airport when he was leaving town, your check, and they didn't know he was leaving for good yet. And he was like, I'll see you soon. And then he didn't come back. So now that he is coming back, our buddy has to go get him.
I was probably as happy as I was for the Oilers and for JP that they were able to get this done. I was equally as happy for Rick because this has been a fucking drum he's been pounding on for a year and a half now.
Rick is his boy. They are legit boys.
Yeah.
It's his Ryan Smith, Jay.
It is. He would take a bullet for that, man.
I wonder, do you think that they had to have like an airing out of everything on those calls between Holland and Tippett and Puljujarvi's camp where they just kind of put everything on the table, even though the two from the Oilers side weren't here when everything went down? Do you think that had happened?
Yeah, but I bet you that there's such pros who are like, listen, we have nothing but respect for you. You'll always have a home in it.
I didn't know Lauren Michaels was a GM.
It did turn into Lauren Michaels.
It does, yeah.
How the hell does fucking Coach Tippett talk? He's a low voice, right?
Yeah, he does.
Doesn't he?
He does.
Kind of Lauren Michaels-y, you know? No? Okay.
I just think there would have been something like, and I'm sure they've done this 100 times now over the last year, where it was like, lay out what went wrong. And, lay out what went wrong. And the Oilers probably sat there and said, listen, we're not going to force you to play through injuries. We're not going to make you do this. We're not sending you to the American League. But we're not promising you top 6 minutes. We're not promising you power play time. But the door's open for you to earn those things. And I think sometimes the word earn it became like a polarizing term when talking about this. You'd have one half of the fan base being like, he's got to earn his place. And the other half being like, well, no one else has to earn it. Why does he have to? He's be given the chances.
Everybody has to earn it.
And it's like, it's a bit of a chicken egg thing where like, does he need to play well to get the opportunities, or does he need the opportunities to play well? And I think both can be kind of true. I think you can start the guy on the third line. Maybe he gets some second unit power play time, although the Oilers pretty much don't have a second unit power play. But play him on the third line, give him some offensive chances. And if he plays good doing that, do not make him work too hard in a sense. And I'm not like, that sounds bad, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like if he scores 3 goals in 10 games on the third line, move him up for a few games. Don't sit there and go, well, we wanted you to score 7 goals in 10 games and really blow the doors off. Like, I think there needs to be reasonable expectations, maybe, is what I'm trying to say.
I guess my question to you, Remchuk, is this. Do you even see that there's space for Connor McDavid on the team next year?
Oh, bold question.
Yeah,
does he even make the team in 2021?
I think because they're going to be expanding rosters with COVID, I think maybe Connor just goes on the practice squad for a little bit, really works on a few things. That too, you know what? In the playoffs, he had 9 points in 4 games? Like he went supernova, even though they lost.
Was he still top 10 in scoring like a month later?
Yeah. I am very, very excited to see what level we get Connor McDavid at next year. Because I think he's going to come out and be like, you know what? Fuck it. Leon, that was fun. That was great. Congrats on your Hart Trophy. I think I kind of want another one here. And I think fully healthy 100% Connor McDavid, who now would have had, granted, COVID news aside, get well soon Connor from the entire nation. I think he could come back next year after a full offseason of training and just be at a level we've never seen him at.
Yeah, he's pissed off and determined. We're going deep next year.
I very much feel like he's the kind of guy, and I think Tyler touched on something where I think that he's the kind of guy where it's like, I'm happy for Leon. He had a hell of a season, MVP, Art Ross, you name it, he won it, but I want him back.
Well, he can do it again, but he's going to have to beat me.
Connor assisted on a lot of his goals, right? So he must feel some measure of pride that his setup guy got the heart.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
But he wants it for daddy, Connor.
Same with, but the internal competition thing I think is really important with the Oilers, and that's why I like Puljujarvi again, just to kind of wrap it up, is that now there's going to be more people pushing for top 6, middle 6 spots on that right wing. And if you don't play well, there's Yamamoto, there's Puljujarvi, there's, Josh Archibald moonlights up in the roster when you need him. And I think there's going to be some healthy competition on the right side for the first time in a while.
100% health. You need that, right? You need guys kind of forcing each other, and that's what depth does. Jay, you said the Oilers are going to go deep next year. For me, if they're going to go deep, they need to fill some holes, and that journey to round out the roster and do all that stuff, it starts in free agency, which kicks off tomorrow at 10 a.m. is when the market opens. I love, just before we get into the Oilers and what they need, and I have a question I want to ask you guys as well. I love how they got rid of the illegal tampering period, and yet we're sitting at this point. Free agency doesn't open for, it's a little under 24 hours from when we're recording this, and it's like, oh yeah, Henrik Lundqvist is signing in Washington. Oh yeah, Vegas is going to make it work. They're probably going to end up getting Pietrangelo here if they shed some money. Like, get rid of the illegal.
Lundqvist is signing in Washington?
Yeah, Lundqvist is going to go to Washington.
Wow.
Also, before we started, it looks like Tay is going to sign a 1 or 2 year in Colorado.
Well, we knew that like 4 months ago.
Yeah. I thought it was funny today. I think it was like Friedman was like, oh, there's some talk that the Avalanche might be cooling in their interest of Taylor Hall. And literally everyone was like, that's probably a lie. Colorado's probably saying that as a negotiation ploy.
Now, why is Friedman blowing so much smoke on Markstrom to Edmonton?
A lot of smoke.
Friedman, LeBrun, and Dreger have all directly linked them.
I don't know. Unless we're doing something with Koskinen, I don't know if we should do that.
So what LeBrun floated out as a possibility. So there's early reports that Markstrom wants 6x6. Some people think he's not getting that. That's going to be his asking price, excuse me, as I burp into a hot mic, which is a
from the Oilers?
Sin.
Very Howard Stern of you.
Yeah.
How the hell are they going to afford him and Koskinen?
So let me just run through this hypothetical with you. There's talk that Markstrom's ask is 6x6. Lehner got 5x5, so there's actually some chatter that maybe he won't get 6x6. What he'll actually get is 6x5.5, which equals a total of $33 million. What the Oilers could maybe do is if everyone else around the league is offering him 5 or 6 years times 5.5, the Oilers could go to him and say, listen, this is your last big contract. We'll give you the $33 million, or maybe they even go up and say, we'll give you $34 million, and they'll give him a 7th year. So it would actually be 7 by like 4.8. So the Oilers
How old is he?
30.
Why are we going to strap our franchise to Markstrom?
Because they think he's a legit number one and he can steal you a playoff series.
No.
I'm hesitant on it too. I am. But that's just kind of the talk, is that if they were to get him, maybe Edmonton adds an extra year to bring down the AAV from $500K, and that's enough to convince Markstrom to sign here.
You know who else we gave an extra year to, Jay?
Yep. The Boulanger Triangle.
The Boulanger Triangle. He too wanted an extra year, your Chuck.
But he wanted that because he believed.
He believed
that. We gave it to him.
Okay.
But there's also even the goalie thing is interesting to me also because there's a lot of goalies on the market here. So I think the Oilers are actually going to end up with somebody pretty decent.
Like, no offense to Markstrom, but when you look back at the Oilers over the last decade of darkness and shit, and you look at like the Javi Boulins and like the professor, like it's a rogues gallery of goobers and has-beens, right? And the Oilers are like, you look at them year after year, like they have to upgrade in goaltending. It can't be like signing guys that you always are cheering for a 1A, 1B. Like they got to spend the dough.
Did you know Ben Scrivens plays in the same beer league as me now? He's a forward and he plays like a couple divisions higher, but he plays in a beer league in Edmonton.
How is he as a skater? Out of the net.
I think he's actually one of their best players, and he's playing whatever it is, like Div 2 or 3, I believe. Don't quote me on that, though. But I was texting with the guy who's on his team, and I was like, yo, you got to get me Scrivens for the podcast. And he was like, yeah, I'll talk to him. And then he gave me a list of like other guys that might be interested in joining the pod and all that. So anyways, if you're listening to this and you're like, the Real Life podcast needs more guests, I am in the process of working on it, hoping we can get Ben Scrivens, but we're not going to talk NHL. We're only talking beer league with him.
Interesting.
I would actually, you know what?
His education?
Well, that's fascinating too, but I bet he's got some great KHL stories too.
Oh, yeah, we need to hear the KHL story.
We don't need to touch under the oil. We can talk on a lot of weird shit. He's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hundy
he
P.
is.
Okay.
You say Hundy P?
Hundy P.
That's cool. Is that a thing?
That's a thing.
Keeping it 100.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
Okay, so the question, we were on the topic of Markstrom and all that. I think everyone kind of agrees that there's 3 things the Oilers need this offseason. A goalie, a defenseman, and a third-line center.
Account.
Yes, and an OnlyFans account.
And a first-line center.
If I had to ask you to rank these, so let's say they have enough money to get one very good option, enough money to get a decent one, and then they have to cheap out on the third. How would you rank?
Sorry, it was goalie, defense, and
third
OnlyFans account, or what?
Third line center. How would you rank those three in terms of importance / willingness to spend?
I would spend. Here's what I would say. If they're like, I'm using Pietrangelo as my example. If there was a way that the Oilers could legitimately get Alex Pietrangelo, he's who I would put the bulk of the money at, because I think he's a very, very good defenseman, and teams can win cups with lesser goaltending. But I think that what's actually going to happen is the reverse. I think Ken Holland's going to spend money on goaltending.
Interesting.
Well,
Jay?
Ken Holland's a very equally building the team off of defense. I can see him going money on D. I just don't know who. We're not going to get Pietrangelo, and so that's done. We don't want Ekman Larsson's contract, and he's already snubbed us, and fuck him. Torrey Krug is interesting. Tyson Barrie, like, we need a defensive defenseman, like someone who could defend. Like, unless we're getting them for cheap on a 1 year, like, show me, like, then you're not talking about spending a lot of money on him. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, who's the big, if you can't get Pietrangelo, who's the big money D guy that you sign? I don't think there really is anyone. So maybe because of circumstance, it isn't defense and it is goaltending. And in terms of third line center, like, is Kyle Turris a center?
Yep.
Like, come on, buddy, come back to Canada.
That one's an interesting one too, because obviously he got bought out by the Predators, and that buyout is ugly.
Oh, that's an ugly buyout. They basically have to pay him $2 million for the next 8 years.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then there's other interesting options too, because like a guy that really intrigues me is Anthony Duclair is going to free agency as well. Could you imagine Duclair on Connor's left wing, or, playing up there in the middle six or somewhere like that?
He's wanting. I think he's seeking some big smoke.
I think he is too. Something interesting about Duclair, though, Wanye, you'll like this. He's decided not to hire an agent. He will represent himself in free agency.
I love that.
Respect.
That's a sign of a smart dude, man. If you think you got a handle on the CBA and how much you're worth and all that, fuck them agent fees. Go get the bag yourself.
Just get yourself a subscription to Puckpedia and tell that site that you want to get paid.
He actually
It's funny
Hart.
when you look at Puckpedia, you'll look at the top agents, and there's you'll see some players' names, like Drew Doughty negotiated his own deal, Nicholas Backstrom negotiated, and they rank in the agent list because of the size of their contract.
Interesting.
They get 100% of the commission, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that a story that Ovechkin just walked into Leonos's office and wrote down maximum money and passed it across, and Leonosis is like,
He probably could have.
He did. He had no agent. He said most money or something.
That's great.
I love Ovi.
There's been a trade in the NHL while we're recording the pod. The Blue Jackets traded Marcus Nudavara to the Panthers for Florida. Columbus, I'm going to say this right now, watch them on free agency, because I think they're lining themselves up to do a big move.
They traded for who? You said to the Panthers for Florida.
Oh,
so
sorry.
I don't know who Florida.
They get all of Florida.
So you're on map.
They really want Miami.
So you've got COVID.
They got Cliff. They got Cliff
So
Poo.
political.
Cliff Poo from Florida.
Cliff, what?
Cliff Poo.
Spell.
P-U.
All right, Cliff.
Well, if I'm paying by the letter, I'll take 10.
But Columbus is now putting themselves in a spot. Now that they've gotten rid of Nudavara's money, they have close to $8 million in cap space, and their lineup is almost set. They have to sign Dubois, granted, but they can put Dubinsky on long-term IR, so they're going to have themselves $7-8 million to probably spend here. Columbus.
What's Dubois though? He's a $7-8 million guy himself. You'd want to lock that guy up for 8 years. Oh God.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. If they're going 8 years, $7 million. But even then, once they put Dubinsky on LTIR, they'll still have $7 million to spend. So they're a team I'd watch on free agency. They might do something interesting here. Yeah. Free agency opens tomorrow. Yeah. We were talking about ranking them. If the Oilers. They could do some damage if they just find a way to get rid of these big contracts, right? Like if they find someone who can take Russell off their hands, if they find a way to shed Chase on without having to take a contract back, like then you're in a spot where you could probably go get Tyson Barrie, a decent defenseman, not top of the line, but decent, and still grab a third line center. The other third line center, what about the name Alex Wenberg? He's interesting.
He just got bought out, right?
He just got bought out. He's 26 years old. His shooting percentages in the last 2 years have been like 3.1% and like 6%. He's been battling some tough puck luck. He kills penalties. He's 26. He's a center. He wins 47% of his draws. He shoots left, not right, so that's one knock on him. But that's a guy, man. Like, I could see a Wenberg Puljujarvi combo working rather nicely in our bottom six.
Fair. I don't disagree.
I think tomorrow's actually going to be super surprising of some of the numbers people sign for, because I think there are so many good players out there that wouldn't normally be, because people are just like, well, I can't qualify this guy, I can't qualify that guy, or people are just walking away. I think it's going to be an interesting day. Super interesting.
Here's my concern, though. Like, all these other teams are moving out money. We haven't moved out money. If we go and sign some guys and then have to, like, reactively move guys, like, we're going to get hosed.
I agree. I would have liked to see. I was really hoping Ken Holland was going to be able to move some cash out at the draft.
He's got the rest of today kind of to try figure it out before free agency opens up, which will be interesting. But
it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. I'll have the live blog up first thing in the morning at the Nation again, and we'll watch all the shenanigans as it happens.
And we're gonna record an Oilers Nation radio tomorrow as well while everything's going down.
Of course.
And we'll get to our NFL or our real life locks of the week here in just a second, but also it'll be a busy weekend. It's a long weekend because it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody listening to this. We'll figure out what we're going to do, because we should probably do a podcast, if not Monday, probably Tuesday, to talk a little free agency, right?
Yep, I'm in.
You can actually, speaking of betting in our locks of the week, you can bet on some sports books on which team will spend the most money on free agents in October.
What you got some odds? Like who are the front runners here?
The front runners here,
Colorado.
According to TSN, it's actually Boston at 1 at plus 325, Leafs at plus 350, Blues at plus 415, Vegas and Calgary at plus 500. I actually think it's interesting. It could turn into a Battle of Alberta bid off here. Calgary's going to be in on Markstrom, and they're reportedly in on Barrie as well. Calgary has more cap space than Edmonton. I'd be a little bit worried about the Flames outbidding the Oilers on some of these.
Good, let them overspend. Let them overspend in free agency. Fuck them. It never works out well.
Yeah, and that's a good point.
Before we get to your football stuff, your Chuck, I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
About the future of the NHL, and perhaps the others as well, but mostly your Chuck, because you're the know-it all of this. Do you envision there being a massive interruption in revenues of the NHL coming up?
Well, I think there already has been a massive interruption, right? Like
with playoffs with no salaries for players, right? Going forward, what do you see?
Yeah. I don't see how next season's going to be anywhere close to the money they've made in the past. Like, they're not. They're not going to have full stadiums when they open the season in January. So
what do you think is going to happen if you're betting? What do you think the stadium situation league-wide is going to be?
I think it'll kind of be like what it is in the NFL right now, where there's like the Miami Dolphins just got clearance from their government to return to full capacity, man.
Madness.
That's fucked. That's backwards. It makes
Florida's
no sense.
just going to fall off the map and just like sink into the ocean right away.
If it doesn't, we should probably just send it out to the ocean anyway.
Like, as a public health measure, you shouldn't play Florida. Like, you shouldn't go down there, period, for any sport.
When that
full NFL stadium breathing on you.
When that headline came out, I honestly, at first glance, I thought it was from The Onion.
Me too.
Because it was like, Florida does weird Florida shit. And I was like, no way.
Sorry, buddy, go ahead.
No, you just look at it, it's like, how are we in the same reality where you think it's acceptable to be like, yeah, Dolphins, if you want 65,000 people in the stadium, go for it. Fuck yeah.
I just imagine their first game being like that Batman scene with Bane at the football game, where they like go on the field and everything just fucking collapses and they were in the stands just screaming and shit.
I think there will be markets around the league that are allowed to have like 10,000 fans in attendance, and they'll charge.
What's the difference between 10,000 fans though and full capacity?
Probably not a lot, but I think part of it's a PR thing too, right? Where like a government will, to appease both sides, be like, okay, half capacity and you need to social distance. When in reality,
would you go to a game if the Oilers allowed for a game in January? Would you go?
No. I wouldn't go in the stands, but if they opened up the up top for media, because I know I'd be able to go in my own entrance, go sit right down at my spot, watch the game, then go right to my car, I would, but I wouldn't go sit in the stands. If someone offered me tickets, I wouldn't do that.
Would you play in a stadium if you were a player? It was full of people.
Yeah, because you don't have interaction with them.
So you have that many people with that much airborne particulate in a space that.
Jay, you're out and about. Would you go to an Oilers game if they have people in?
It depends what like percentage of capacity. If it was like 5% or 10%, I would strongly consider it.
How do the economics of the game work, though, in your mind, if it's that reduced for people?
Well, the thing you need to remember is that, one, I'm far from an expert in this, but the salary cap, is to an extent like an imaginary number. Like it doesn't really matter. The salary cap is there to represent an estimated 50% of hockey-related revenue, right, of HRR. And if that money isn't made, the players just have to pay it all back in escrow. So if the league could have came out this year and been like, the salary cap is $100 million, and it would have just been given back. Like the players would have signed deals for $10 million and just had to give back 30% of it probably. So
was that Lorne Michaels, that boy?
I don't know.
I see. Anyway.
So like the economics of the league are going to be hurt because the owners aren't going to make as much and the players are going to have to give money back. And I think what you could end up seeing is some like expensive veteran guys, like what Matt Niskanen did. They'll sit there and go, well, I don't want to play for 30% of my contract and keep putting my body through this, so I'm out. I'm peacing. And
do you think it could be that crazy? Like 30% of your contract is what you play for?
I'm pretty sure they had to give back 20% this year or something close to it. So I
don't know how the math works, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on how the math works, but I believe that's what I heard is that these next couple seasons, the cap is going to stay flat. And, you know, maybe they artificially inflate it a little after to help out some teams. But players are going to be given back money for the next couple of years until you can, or for the next year until there's a vaccine and shit can go back to the way it was in 2019.
Everyone's going to buy their jerseys and jerseys.
I know Gary Bettman would do everything he can to prevent it, but I wonder how much this period would push teams like a Florida or something like that to the point where they can no longer operate.
I think the league would just keep them propped up.
But I mean, like, how many teams could they realistically do that for? It's not
I agree, right?
It's not like money. It's not like it's just, okay, fucking Coyotes, we're owning you again because whatever. This is like, what if they had to do it for 5 or 6 or 7 teams?
Well, Canada's getting 2 more teams.
How the hell do any of the arenas of North America or the world, for that matter, service their debt loads, right?
Yeah.
They need to have, like, fucking Robbie Williams tours every 30 seconds at Rogers Place, plus Oilers, plus Oil Kings, to keep a $400 million debt stack a-twirling, right?
Yeah.
How are they supposed to do that?
I actually heard a rumor that there were a few teams that reached out to the league and were like, hey, can we get our expansion money now? So like when Seattle joins the league, they got to pay their entry fee, and that gets split up amongst the teams, right? There's a rumor that there were teams who were like, we want it now because we're struggling to stay afloat.
Imagine you're Seattle and you're like, hey, everybody, can you please get a subscription to season tickets? Everyone's like, no. And you're like, well, already, do we have a TV deal? No. Okay. And how much money do you want for your expansion fees, Columbus? Fuck.
Yeah, man. Like, it's going to be, economics-wise, it's going to be a fucked up 12 months, not just around the NHL, but around every sports league.
So what do you think is going to happen?
Well, nothing. Like, the players are just going to give back money, and owners are going to take losses. And I think
no contrition of teams.
NHL is going to have to find other revenue streams.
Yeah. I bet you they start really.
That's going to have to get creative. They're going to have to just find other ways, which is forcing them to, which is good. So maybe they'll become more collaborative.
The one thing they probably could start doing, I know they've done it a little bit, but go all in on sports betting, man. Like get yourself they
have a gambling partnership. So this is where sports gambling could save sports once it opens up in the States. The fact that it's not fully open, like their gambling partnership could save the day.
If the league's going to cut. if it's all third-party betting, it's not going to help.
But you do it by.
But they already have a sponsorship, right? Like there's
right, but
something
like
there.
I could, as a bettor, there's a variety of apps I could use that aren't NHL apps. But if I bet on hockey, the NHL will receive nothing.
Yeah, but it's like anything, right? Like if single game sports betting becomes legalized in Canada, that means like DraftKings Sportsbook could open up. And if they go to the NHL, and the NHL could go to them, I should say, and be, hey, do you want to be our official sportsbook? And we will give you whatever you want, all our data, everything you need, but you need to pay us this absurd chunk of money. Well, that's going to help them. And it's not just going to be betting that could save them.
Like,
they'll have to do a lot. But
arenas are starting to build like sportsbook betting lounges and stuff. So like that's the future. But there's a bunch of other stuff. I've got to go. It's got a 2:00 appointment, so I'm going to leave on this note. Well, we booked the podcast for 1 to 2, and my door's knocking for my 2:00.
Oh, before you go, Jay, Mike Pence's hair fly. Go.
The best.
Oh, that's who should be running for president.
Oh my God! I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe when I saw the tweets about it.
My God!
Best thing that's happened in 10 years.
There's an account for the Fly that's got hundreds of thousands of followers. So I got to walk out and end on this note. My pick for this week, I'm going with my heart. My Brownies with +1.5 against. Yes, they're stingy, but shitty Indianapolis. They're my fucking lock for the week. Take it or go on the money line. It makes them more juice. They trounced the Cowboys. And I got to leave on this one. I got to do a little bit brother talk. First of all, as a fellow UGG owner, I was so proud to see Enzo and others wearing Uggs in the house. That was amazing. Nicole is talking so tough, even though like she's doing nothing in the game after Christmas and Tyler took their shot and missed. That kind of always irks me. Tyler, you fucking idiot. Why did you take that angle with Enzo? That's probably going to kill your game.
Yeah.
Damn it. The meow just behind the scenes, just working it with everyone. Got to pay a lot of respect. And with that, I am out.
All right. There you go.
I also feel like Tyler's going to go out this week, and I'm unhappy about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad about it too because I really like him. But what can you do? What can you do? Jay's lock of the week was Browns +1.5. We'll get Chalmers when he texts in. I'll text him and get his lock of the week coming up soon as well.
I'm going with Pittsburgh over Philly.
Pittsburgh over Philly is Bag Milk's lock of the week. I am going right back to the Seattle Seahawks. I'm using oddshark.com for all my sports betting information, everything I need to make me a smarter bettor. And I'm going the Seattle Seahawks, baby. They're 4-0 against the spread. They're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games as well. Their supercomputer is predicting a 20-point Seahawks win. Seahawks -7. That is my lock of the week. But we got Jay going with the Browns. Bag Milk is going with the Steelers over the Eagles. Jay, sorry, I'm writing these down because I know I'm going to forget them if I don't. And I'm going with the Seahawks.
Wanya, how good have the Fly memes been? Like, the meme accounts have just been all over it.
The Fly is his only black voter.
Jesus.
Like, it was great. It was just great.
The best. And he looked like, I don't know what was going on with Mike Pence last night, but he looked like the edibles were kicking in as the debate was going on.
His eyes all red because he has COVID, they said.
Yeah. Jesus. Unreal.
Yaremchuk, ask me a very basic NFL trivia question.
Your basic NFL trivia question is, which current team is shut down due to COVID with over 20 positive tests?
Tennessee Titans.
Ah, wow, you got that. You've been paying attention to the news, obviously. I guess that's more of a current events question, huh?
True. It reached my level of the newsosphere.
Yeah. That's fucked, though. Have you heard about all the teams in the QMJHL as well?
No, what happened?
They've had 2 teams, I believe now, who've had basically to shut down because they've had so many positive tests through preseason. And the Ontario government basically told the Ontario Hockey League that the only way they can play this year is if they ban body checking in junior A hockey.
Yeah, I don't.
It's crazy, man. It's absolute madness. Anyways, Bag Milk, before we go, do you have a spicy free agency prediction for the Oilers?
It's not spicy. It's guaranteed to happen that no matter who they sign tomorrow or do not sign, the comment section in the live blog will be the angriest place on earth.
Don't miss it. Head to OilersNation.com. Check out the free agency live blog that Bag Milk will be running. Interesting stuff. Oh,
Carter
man.
Savoie.
Yeah, Carter Savoie, Dylan Holloway. Welcome to Edmonton. They got some other interesting picks as well.
Number 8 in our program, number 1 in our radar.
He is number 1 on the radar now. Welcome to Oil Country, boys. And you guys, thanks for giving me an hour of your time here. This was a fun little pod. I like this. It was just enough nonsense to keep me laughing, just enough on the rails to satisfy the hockey nerd in me. It was a good balance. I like that.
I thought we did a very good job of following instruction today.
Yep.
You're aroused and now you're satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Oilers Nation Real Life episode 220 is brought to you by Oodle Noodle, Edmonton's #1 noodle shop. Check them out. Plenty of locations around the city. I promise you, if you're in Edmonton, there is an Oodle Noodle right around you. Get it for dinner, get it for lunch, do whatever. If you pick it up in store, 10% of all proceeds go towards a local charity. Also, the promo code NATION15. Use that thing at twigandberries.ca. Twig and Berries, essentials for the modern day caveman. No judgment, no shaming, no fancy words, just real men. twigandberries.ca. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Life Podcast. For Wanye, Bagmilk, Jay, and Chalmers, who decided not to show up, I'm Tyler Yaremchuk. We'll talk to you again next week.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.